Welcome back to the Ballerina and the Bodybuilder podcast. Oh my goodness. Thank you guys so much for the love on the first episode. We probably should have said this on like our second recording, just like preemptively being like, oh yeah, everybody loved us, but like be really truthful.
Exactly. We had to wait and see if that was going to be
Yeah.
the case, didn't we?
And obviously we also had to wait and see like when we would actually record, like actually like release the first episode. But honestly, it's been overwhelming the amount of support that we've gotten for the podcast in general. And the first episode, I've received so many messages. I'm not lying. I am Miss Popular, I swear. Back it up. So many people really enjoyed the episode, and like even dancers were messaging me, like past dancers, current dancers, people with other like eating disorders messaging me how much they related it, how much they like enjoyed hearing us chat about things. But I will preface, like, not like the entire podcast and like all of the other episodes, they're not going to all be eating disorder related. They're not all going to be bodybuilding related. They're not all going to be XYZ related. We want this to be like a podcast where we chat about loads of different things, because honestly, like, I know we're talking about prep today and like your first prep, but like, I think like right now bodybuilding is so fucking boring to me. Like, I'm invested. I'm invested in my own prep, and I'm interested in my own prep, kind of, not really. Like, I just kind of do the do. Like, it's nothing magical, nothing special to me anyway. And I'm really interested and like invested in the people in my circles prep, like your prep, Lucy, like my friends prep, like Mark, Jem, etc., Dara, Ryan. I'm invested in everybody like prep, and I care about them deeply. But everybody else, I'm like, shut the fuck up. No one cares. No one
Yeah. Yeah, that's such an interesting take. That's really interesting perspective. And you know what? I felt the same. Today was actually the first time I've watched like a bodybuilding sort of vlog in actually a long time. Like, I've been watching education videos and reading audiobooks and stuff more than anything. And then I was just like, oh, I'll just like get into it a bit. But it was the weirdest thing. I was like, I don't really care about what you're talking about. I'm just doing my do. Like, I was like, like, I don't know.
And then you like, even if you are watching like a vlog of like maybe like a famous influencer who's doing a bodybuilding prep, and you're like, oh, you start picking up on things that they're doing, you're like, oh my God, you are so fucking stupid. Like, why the fuck are you doing that? Like, somebody sent me a story of somebody yesterday on Instagram, Kira, one of my friends from back home in Ireland. She sent me a story of some girl influencer that's doing a bodybuilding prep, and she was washing her cooked chicken.
What? Sorry. What?
I was like, are you what? Like,
that's not just prep brain. That is just pure stupidity.
no,
Sorry,
like,
that's
she was like, anyway, like she put it as part of the process of her like creating her meal. She was like washing. I was like, are people like,
that's actually classic.
she's special.
Oh. That's like wild to me. No, I fully agree with you. It's not that it's not interesting right now. It's just not where my attention's going, because I think so much of the day-to-day is just boxes to tick. I don't really care about other people's boxes that are being ticked, other than my close circle, right? Like my people who are also doing the same thing, which is really good because we still have the support of the people around us. But yeah, guys, honestly, like the love on the first episode, we were both blown away. Like, obviously we have such a time difference between us, but we both woke up to messages from the other one with just like screenshots and just like, what the, like going on. Like, it was insane for us both. So we both really appreciate it. And yeah, it just definitely gave us that push to really keep going for you guys and bring out a lot of different topics as well. Because as Katie said, like, we don't want this to just be one thing only and keep us one dimensional. Like, we really want to talk about all the stuff that Katie and I would talk about, one, to each other, and two, to our clients as well. And our experience as coaches, we're very holistic in our approach. Like, we're always working on all sides of our clients. So it's really important that we have those conversations as well with you guys. So yeah, super exciting stuff. We're very, very grateful.
We're multi-dimensional, baby.
Exactly. Exactly. Cooking chicken, washing it, doing all the things.
Okay, last thing on like the stupid bodybuilding stuff that I have watched recently. I was like, I love Justin Shire so much. Like, I am in love with him. I've been in love with him since the day that I saw him on the internet. You probably don't have a fucking clue who this is.
Yeah.
Bodybuilder, an open bodybuilder. He just won the men's Chicago Open. Flex, get the hell down off the furniture. Slight interruption there from Flex. Just pretending to be a cat. But I was watching one of his latest YouTube videos on like the elliptical when I was doing like my cardio the other morning, and just like something to watch to pass the time away. And he started, was like, oh, just cooking my rice, like the way he was cooking his rice. I was like, what the fuck am I watching? Like, he didn't get off the internet. I was watching somebody cook rice. I was
I did that today.
When you're watching bodybuilders' YouTube videos, that's literally all you're doing. You're watching them cook rice and you're watching them eat rice. It's just like, no. You have better things. Like, if you don't know how to cook rice, then like get microwave rice like I did. Anyway, let's actually start the fucking episode now.
So good. Everyone loves it. All right, let's get into it. What are we talking about today? Do you want to lead us in?
Sure thing. So today we are going to be talking about your first prep and how to prepare and be successful entering your first prep, and what you should be doing or what you should have in place in order to have a successful prep, whether that is your first prep or your 8th, 9th, 10th prep. This will definitely help, I think, or it will definitely be something that you should take on board or consider for any of the preps that you are doing in the future. Because I know for myself, I did not take into consideration a lot of these things for my first prep, because obviously it was my first prep. I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. I knew to a certain degree what I was getting myself into, because I'd like done some preparations in terms of watching other people prep and asking them questions, asking my coach, but loads of other things that like I've only learned in the past few years, or the past couple of years anyway, how important and like how, what's the word I'm looking for? That's the trouble with like recording these for me, like 6 o'clock in the morning. How important these, let's say, variables are to have in place before entering your first prep, so that you're set up for success and that you come out the other side of your prep healthy, functioning, not broke, relationships intact, things like that. So let's get into it. Okay, so the keys to starting a contest prep successfully. So we have different topics that we're going to cover, and we're just like, I've notes written out here for myself that you guys cannot see. But if you do want the notes, then just send me a message on Instagram and I can shoot you across the notes if you like. But we're just going to go through a couple of different topics. I think there's like 6 like short topics, and we're going to like kind of spit off what we think of each topic as well, and why it's important in the context of like successfully preparing for your first prep. So the first one, mental health. Your mental health must be prioritized. Oh my God, I cannot emphasize this enough. So for me, if anybody didn't know, and I've not really shared this with anyone apart from like close people or people that like have cared to ask me, but I did not start my prep in March, April like I had planned, because my mental health was definitely not prioritized. It was not in a good spot, and if I had started a prep in that headspace, it would not have gone well. It would not have gone well. I would not have enjoyed anything about the prep, and I would have come out the other side of prep, finishing it, if I had even finished it, in a really bad spot, because when you enter a prep, everything else that like outside of prep, the deeper you get into prep and the deeper you get into, let's say, the closer you get to show day, all the other things in your life outside of bodybuilding can be pushed to the side. Like they can be pushed to the side. You have a reason to push them to the side, like your friendships, like spending time with other people, taking care of your mental health, and all the realms of that encompasses, it's ignored, and it's easy to ignore it. So if you're constantly having breakdowns or know that your mental health is not in the best spot, a true prep, one where you get in proper condition, true stage lean condition to win, it will break you. Okay, so you need to spend your time working on the mental health aspect of things, okay, and making sure that you are in a strong enough spot to deal with all of the sides of bodybuilding and prep that encompasses with getting super fucking lean, okay? That because it will test you. It will test you. There will be days, if you are not strong-willed And if you don't like feeling super, super lean, if you don't know what that feels like, it's all a new world that you are entering into. And at times, for some people, like they've like explained it to me, it feels like they're dying. And I'm like, okay, it's a little bit
You have not had an eating disorder before then, yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
It can feel like days where you just like, oh my God, I don't know if I can continue to do this. But you can. And that's the whole, like, that's one of like the whole aspects of prep is like you prove to yourself each and every day, wow, I did that hard thing and I'm going to do the hard thing again tomorrow. And tomorrow might be more difficult or it might be easier. We don't know. But I've just proven to myself, like, you get the satisfaction and the mental reward of being like, wow, I did that and I didn't think I could do it. So yeah.
Yeah, Katie, would you say that you think a lot of the time people actually do get into prep when their mental health is not great as a bit of like a glamorous distraction as well?
We haven't released the videos of these yet, but I can upload them to my YouTube. I'm here trying to like shadow box Lucy with what she's
Dodging that.
1000%. I have
Yeah.
many a prep in not the best headspace, in like trying to ignore what's going on with myself mentally. And it drove me to push harder in prep for sure. It drove me to push harder in prep and to be like, ignore everything else that was going on. I used it as a scapegoat. I used it to escape this shit that I was dealing with in my real life. Because like bodybuilding prep, especially online on Instagram, when you're doing it for social media gratification, you're entering this fairy tale world of bodybuilding and like, ooh, I'm lean. Ooh, I'm getting ready for a contest. Ooh, the glam. Ooh, all of this bullshit. And all of the other things in life are pushed to the wayside, and you use it as like an escape mechanism rather than actually like doing it for the purpose of like doing a bodybuilding prep. So yeah, it's definitely like a really good point to hit on there.
Yeah, I think I've noticed it, especially, I don't know if it's an Australian thing, but I've noticed because it's become so glamorized here as well. Like there's so many people doing a prep that I go, there's no way in hell you should even be embarking on probably a dieting phase right now, let alone a prep, because your mental health, you're using this one as like a way to get some validation on your body because you haven't created like body acceptance and neutrality yet, but also you're using it as a massive distraction from the shit that's going on. And it's something I think just to be so aware of. And, you know, with you and I as well, like when I have brought to you before at random times in working together, like, oh, can I do a prep? Or like, can I start prep? And you just be like, no, like it was never just a size thing. It was like, hey, can we get really, really good mentally first to know that you're strong enough to do this? And I think it's such an important thing that maybe gets a bit overlooked, but something for you guys, if you're embarking on that or even considering it, like, let's say you're like 2 years off even doing a prep, start considering that now. That's my opinion on that, I reckon.
Start preparing for the prep now. Like, don't like the biggest thing that I see that like was definitely a big problem when I first started off like competing. Every girl that I knew that was like competing, it was their first prep and they didn't do like an improvement season. They didn't do a building phase. And along with that building phase and that improvement season, you can grow mentally and it can make you stronger. And that in of itself prepares you for the prep, not just physically, but on the mental side of things as well. It gives you time to prepare for everything that's going to inevitably happen when you're preparing for a show, when you're preparing for a contest.
100%. You've got to build that resilience even in that improvement season as well, and the ability to be a little bit maybe uncomfortable in your body and pushing things and challenging things, and consistency as well. The consistency of eating and all those things, like mentally getting into that headspace. Then the prep feels not easy, but easier, I reckon. Honestly.
Absolutely, 1000%. And it gives you time to like you've done over the past 2-3 years to ask me questions. Oh, what should I expect for this? What should I expect for that? Like everything, like in regards to like asking me about tan, asking me about, let's say, what's going to be realistic when I am prepping. Like, can I go out and celebrate my birthday? Can I go out and celebrate my boyfriend's birthday? Things like that. We have to be realistic about like all the things and like be prepared for that. Anyway, so moving on to the next topic that I've written down here is financial stability. Okay, bodybuilding is not a cheap sport. Okay, I don't know what's wrong with me anyway, but I never chose the cheapest sport in ever my entire life. Horse riding, Horse riding, the first one. Horses cost a lot of money. They cost a lot of money to they cost a lot of money in regards to the equipment that you use with them. They cost a lot of money for the equipment that you need to have to ride a horse as well. It's a very expensive sport, but also bodybuilding is very expensive. So prep in of itself, outside of improvement season, is not cheap. Okay. You're talking about memberships, class registration, fees, hotel, Airbnbs, traveling, whether that be like you're traveling on a plane or traveling in the car or trains. And then for females, especially, like you're going to need, depending on where you are in the world, you're going to need at least $500, £500, no matter where you are, at the very least, to get a decent suit to step on stage. Then you have to take into consideration the heels can cost from, again, if you're getting like a really plain pair, £40 to £100 if you're getting like a fully bedazzled pair. Jewelry, I'm never going to be the one who spends £100 on jewelry. I'm going to Primark. I'm going to Pennies to get my jewelry. Fuck that shit. So like you can like cheap out on the jewelry. It does not need to be Swarovski bullshit for your jewelry. Okay. It's all going to sparkle the very same on stage when it's that small on your face and your neck and your, well, no, you wouldn't really wear a necklace. Anyway, we're getting sidetracked. That's what Lucy's here for. And then for females as well, you are going to have to spend money on getting your hair and your makeup done if you don't know how to do your hair and makeup for show day. And then even if you're a guy, and if you're a guy listening to this, you're still going to need to get a pair of suits, a pair of trunks or suit, depending on what class you're doing. And you need to keep in mind tan as well. Tan, like for your first show, definitely do not do your tan yourself. Do not do it yourself. Just don't. Go and get it done by the host tanners who are doing like the sponsorship of the show, who are doing the tanning at the show. Get it done by them. Get it done by professionals for your first outing. Unless you have somebody in your side who's like, for example, if your boyfriend is like, or your partner is like an advanced bodybuilder who's done numerous shows before, and he can help you or she can help you with getting your tan done yourself and knows what it should look like. You need to take that into consideration as well. But as well, the food is going to cost a lot of money too. You're talking about, if you're being coached, you need the cost of your coach as well per month, or if you pay them in advance. You need gym memberships, like the list goes on. And then like if you're talking about somebody who is taking PEDs in bodybuilding, Lucy is natural, she won't have this problem, but she is taking lots of supplements in terms of like workout, health supplementation, things like that. If you are doing PEDs and if you're doing them correctly, you're going to need the cost of the PEDs, obviously, but also blood work to make sure that you're getting your bloods done every 3 to 6 months so that your blood work is in a good spot and you're not getting unhealthy because of the PEDs, and all of the other health supplementation that goes along with taking performance enhancing drugs. So like, and that like the PEDs themselves like don't cost that much. It's the health supplementation to counteract the side effects of PEDs that cost, oh my God, so much
money.
Holy shit. Like that's a lot of like where my money goes is like spending money on like vital support from Trained by JP, Love Heart, good quality omegas, vitamin D3, K2. All of those are like cardio protective, kidney protective, liver protective, things like that, depending on obviously the type of performance enhancing drugs you're taking. Like the list goes on. Okay. So like the moral of the story is like you need to budget to get yourself into a position where you're financially stress-free, or your financial stress is managed before going into the prep. So it doesn't on the final product and leave you in a horrible spot financially post-show, or worse, leaving you have to not complete the prep itself. Okay. I know for myself, I've gone through preps before where I've not been financially stable 100%. And the stress of that in of itself ruined the look, because I was just so stressed about money. I was so stressed about my finances, getting here, getting there, like saving money here and there, trying to earn money here and there, extra, like getting extra shifts with work, things like that, when you don't really have the energy to be getting extra shifts work. Like you should be dialing down the amount of work that you're doing leading up to show day in order to like counteract the stress that's being put upon your body. So it is very, very important to make sure that you're in a good spot financially, not just from the financial like aspect of things so that you're not fucking broke because of bodybuilding, but that you are not causing yourself so much stress in your bodybuilding prep that it's hindering you from dropping body fat because you're so fucking stressed out all the time.
Yeah, 100%. I fully agree. And it's like actually allowing yourself to be prepared for it. I think so many people get a bit of a jump scare when they go, oh my gosh, and I have to buy this. And like Rego, like I know for myself as a first timer, my Rego was like 700 Australian dollars, like, because I can do all those sections. Yeah. But like, it's like all those things, right? It's like, even if you're going to do the extra things like the hair extensions and coloring your hair and all that, like it just adds up, and the nails, if you want them and things like that, it all adds up, but you just have to be prepared for that. And I think knowing how much you're going to give to it as well. Like, don't just go crazy your first prep, in my opinion. Like, I'm not getting like $1 million nails on my hands and stuff like that, because it's just practical, right? But also, on the note of the food, I think that people a lot of the time think, oh, well, I'm not going to be eating out and I'm not going to be drinking alcohol. I'm going to save so much money. And it's like, you're probably not, because now you're going to probably have higher quality foods than you had in your maybe the time before prep. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you're eating really, really well, which you should be in prep, you should be having the best quality food sources possible and making sure that you're getting, like, if you can, organic meats and beautiful vegetables and fruits and things like that. That shit adds up, especially when you're eating it every single day consistently. So yes, you can know what to expect with your finances, but you have to be practical with that and not almost like literally gaslight yourself into thinking like, oh, it'll be fine. Like, actually just know what you're in for and commit to it, or don't. But it's just being aware of it, I think, and making it work for you, not what someone else is doing. Like, someone else might be getting like $1,000 bikini, but if that's not going to work for you, then you don't need to do that. It's not going to change anything on show day. You're still going to have an incredible prep, but just actually preparing yourself mentally for that, I think, is the most important thing.
Yeah, and that kind of ties into like what we first said about like, take the time to mentally prepare yourself, but also financially prepare yourself. You can do those two things together. And that's kind of like tying into the next topic, why you should wait to like start your first bodybuilding prep, or wait until you're in a better spot to start your bodybuilding prep, no matter whether it's your first or your fucking 10th. Next topic, your metabolism needs to be in a good spot. I would say a fantastic spot before you start. Okay. So I've told you and Danny, and I will say this to anyone who comes to me who wants to start a bodybuilding prep, the simple statement: if you take care of your insides first, I say this to my lifestyle clients as well. If you take care of your insides first, the outside will follow. Okay. So if you focus on your health, a byproduct of a healthy body is a healthy looking body. Okay, it's no secret. This is not the healthiest endeavor. A bodybuilding prep is not the healthiest endeavor. Your goal should be to keep your machine well oiled and healthy as possible year round, no matter whether you're in bodybuilding prep or not. So when it comes time to push in a bodybuilding prep, you need to pour some gas on the fire, and you can do so while keeping your overall risk to your health minimal. We can't eliminate it, even in natural competitors. And I would argue, this is a topic that I would love to discuss with somebody, but I would argue, especially for females, consistently bodybuilding or doing a bodybuilding prep for females naturally is more unhealthy than it is to do it with performance enhancing drugs. Because with natural females, if you're consistently pushing yourself into the depths of a bodybuilding prep, your metabolism is going to be fucked. Your hormones are going to be tanked. And if they're consistently tanked time and time again, your thyroid is tanked time and time again, your estrogen, your testosterone, your progesterone are tanked time and time again. Sometimes that's not reversible, especially with females and their testosterone levels. You need testosterone in order to have a functioning, healthy body. And it can put you into early onset menopause in your 20s. So, and you're at risk of getting osteomalacia, osteoporosis in your 20s. That's not okay. So if you are a female competitor and let's say you're consistently doing bodybuilding preps time and time again, and you've tanked your testosterone, if you tanked your thyroid, if you had the ability to utilize exogenous thyroid medication and testosterone replacement therapy, hormone replacement therapy, you would be able to still have your monthly cycle and get back to normal physiological ranges within your blood work. Okay.
Wow.
Coming back from that with your metabolism being in a good spot, you cannot be too fat starting your prep. That is the worst place to be in to start a prep. You shouldn't be starting prep just because you're fat, or you're in like a very bad body composition, because your body is not going to be that responsive. Like it's very insulin insensitive at that point. And if you have like 50 pounds to lose in your prep in like 16-20 weeks, that is going to be a long hog of a prep. It's not going to allow for you to have any chance to have a diet break in that time frame. It's just too much body fat to get off in one go. So what I've done with my past coach, and I've seen like other coaches do, and what we did as well, we did a pre-prep phase where we did, let's say, like a little bit of a mini cut to get you in a much more favorable position, to, let's say, get your body composition in a much more favorable spot. We pushed food back up then relatively quickly, I would say, to make sure that we were still growing before we started prep, but we kept body composition in as good a place as we possibly could, so that we didn't have to drop 50 pounds in your prep. So like for you, we've dropped what? 8 kilos?
Yeah.
So like 16, 17 pounds so far. Lucy doesn't have that much more to drop in order to be stage lean. She maybe has 4 kilos maybe left to drop, I would say, in order to be like stage lean for the look that we want to bring. But that wouldn't have been possible if we didn't do that pre-prep phase.
Oh my gosh, no.
So yeah, for sure. And like touching on here as well, blood work. We have consistently got blood work done for Lucy, and she's a natural competitor. We consistently got blood work done to keep monitoring her blood work and where her female reproductive hormones were at, where her thyroid was at, where her iron was at as well, because Lucy definitely had to deal with some heavy bleeding issues with her past not hormonal birth control, her past copper coil. I hope you don't mind me saying. Left her really anemic, and Lucy has been anemic her entire life because of so that is something that we have to be very careful about as well. And we needed to make like a top priority entering into her prep, because I remember telling you we cannot start a prep if you are anemic, because you're tired and you're lethargic and you're ghastly pale, Casper.
Yes.
Prep is not going to be good. It's not going to be it's not going to happen. Because if you're tired, you're not going to put in effort into your training, your cardio, your daily activity, things like that. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, that's all right. I was just going to ask you a question. Question for you then, like from a coach's perspective, when you are going to start a prep with someone, how do you like to determine like where that sweet spot is of, okay, this is where we're going to start at? Do you go by the look, or do you go by like an estimate of what you think they're going to have to lose, or the phases you've done prior? What is your sweet spot, do you feel, for the client?
Everything that you've mentioned there, I take into consideration. So where the client is currently at in terms of their body composition, but also where their current activity levels are at, where their current training is at. Is their training in a good spot? Where their current food is at. So if you're coming to me and you're wanting to start a bodybuilding prep and your food is at like 16, 17, even 1800 calories, I'm going to be like, no. And you're doing like 15K steps a day already, and you want to start bodybuilding, I'm like, no,
not the way
to happen. And if you're doing all of that and you have 50 pounds to lose, fuck no, you're not starting a prep. Okay, you're going to be horrible, and I'm not willing to put anybody through that. So I need to make sure people are in a good spot, like we've already talked about, mentally, that they're in a good spot in terms of their metabolism, in regards to, let's say, okay, I need your food to be in a relatively high spot. I need your body composition to be in a relatively good spot too, making sure your digestion is on point, like making sure that your blood glucose levels are in a good spot as well, so that you're not like super insulin resistant. So like your blood sugar is off the Richter scale, like reading 8.0, 7.0, 6.0 plus millimole per liter, which would be like high 80s, 90s, 100s. Okay, 90s and 100s in like the other measurement of unit. I don't know what it is. The Americans use that measurement of unit. We use millimole per liter over here. So it's very, very important, like that that's in a good spot, that like your blood glucose levels are in a good spot, you're responding to food relatively well. I need to take all of those things into consideration before like starting a prep. And I have to, for me anyway, I have to spend time at least 3-4 months with a client in an improvement season setting phase before thinking about entering a bodybuilding prep. So I can get, this is not just for me, every good coach out there will say this as well. In order to get to know what your body is like, in order to get to know like fluctuations that happen with you, how your body responds to certain foods, how your body responds to certain training protocols, how your body responds to stress, etc. It's very, very important for your coach to learn how your body works before entering a prep, so that we know how it's going to respond, or we can predict how it's going to respond in a bodybuilding prep as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I was just going to say, before you said it on that point, like, isn't that so obvious to everyone listening, that you need to start with your coach well before, in my opinion, well before you even do a dieting phase, but go into a prep with them? I think honestly, because they need to get to know you as much as you need to get to know them. And they're now essentially in charge of your body and your output and your input and all the things. And they also need to be able to see if you can hack it mentally, physically, emotionally. They need to be able to see your level of resilience, your ability to do all these things. And it's like, if you haven't spent that time with them, one, it's probably a very clear indication that you're rushing into a prep and you're trying to just do it to do it and all of that. But it's so clear to me that you need to have a commitment and a level of trust with your coach, that you know that they're going to get your body to a great place to start, that they're going to get your food up, they're going to do all the things. Like, I've always trusted Katie. Like, the most liberating thing is not having to think about her fucking food. Like, I don't think about anything. She just goes, here you go. And I go, brilliant. Like, you know what I mean? It's that if you can build that level of trust with your coach, you'll be able to trust as well if they say you're not ready for a prep.
Yeah.
You'll be able to trust that as well. Metabolically, emotionally, financially, all of that. And you've got to be able to lean into that. So I think that's a really important point.
Yeah. We'll circle back to something, and I totally forgot it. God damn it. To something that you said earlier on is, I've forgotten it. God damn it.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah.
Trust the coach, start early, all of that.
For sure. Yeah. So get your blood work done. Get monitoring your blood sugar levels, your blood glucose monitor at home. You can get really cheap ones on Amazon, like less than $20 or £20. Amazon that shit to your house. Get your blood pressure monitored. And even if you have the ability to get this done, I've gotten it done because it was a study done in Liverpool. Shout out to the guys in Liverpool University doing this study on high-level performance athletes, especially bodybuilders. I got an echocardiogram done. I got my heart checked. I got my heart scanned. I got everything done in that regard. And last year, I believe, around this time last year. And I'm due to go back again this year, but I just didn't get the time to do it right now. But because it was okay last year, I should be okay. I was the picture last year. Not much has changed in regards to what I've been doing since last year, so I should be fine. And like I just recently got my blood work done, and it was the picture of health, if I do say so myself.
Glowing.
So taking your supplements, even though they cost a fuck ton of money, the health supplementation side of things, it is important. And my blood work has never been better. It's never been better. I'm really happy with that.
That's awesome.
So, moving on to the next one. This is a big one, and we're all both kind of dealing with this right now. Well, I'm not. I'm actually like living in fairy tale land at the moment, but sleep. Your sleep needs to be prioritized. Okay, first off, I don't know what the fuck is going on with me right now. My food is low. Okay, for me, it is low. I'm touching like all the wood here. I'm crossing all my
touch the wood. Yeah.
Watch me getting no sleep tonight. I've been getting 7, 8.5 hours a night, like the past couple of weeks. Oh my God, it has been absolutely amazing. I do not know what's going on. Okay, I do know what's going on. I'm taking Trained by JP sleep supplement, Dream Sleep, as well as so obviously you can't get melatonin over the counter in the UK. I got a deep dark alleyway. No, I didn't.
You can in Australia.
Yeah, you can get over the counter in like literally every other country, like America. Like, I know you can get over the counter in Spain, I think, as well. You can get everything over the counter in Spain. You can get over the counter in Australia as well. So if you are entering a prep and your sleep is not prioritized, and if you've really poor sleep hygiene in your improvement season or before even starting a prep, that is not okay. Your sleep is one of the pillars to your progress, foundations to your health overall, whether you're a bodybuilder or not. You need to make sure your sleep is in a good spot. So if you cannot prioritize sleep, like this goes into, let's say, if you have poor sleep hygiene, these are choices that you are making in your daily life that are causing you to have poor sleep. Okay, I'm calling you out. Stop bullshitting yourself and stop telling me, oh, my sleep is really bad.
Get off your phone before you go to sleep.
Get off your fucking phone. Stop scrolling fucking TikTok in the hours leading up to bedtime. Read a fucking book, okay?
Honestly.
As
Sleep
well.
is a big one.
Yeah, like that is going to help with managing your hunger. If you have better sleep, you are not going to be as hungry. Okay. If your sleep is good, you are going to be able to drop body fat better because all of your recovery and reparative processes are in sync with your sleep. Okay. Your recovery is going to be on point because your sleep is so good too. Your blood sugars are going to be in a better spot too if your sleep is good, because if your sleep is bad, if you have poor sleep, that has a tendency to cause your blood sugars to rise and cause more stress. You're going to be able to make better decisions if you have better sleep, because your decision making is not in a good spot. It's compromised when you are stressed and when you are lacking sleep. We've all done some stupid stuff when we've lacked sleep, and no drug will ever replace this. Okay, yes, you can get sleep supplements and sleep, like natural sleep supplements, like the Train by JP Sleep, Dream Sleep, or Strom's Support Max, Neuro. These are all like supplement companies that are available in the UK and Ireland and Europe, I believe. I'm not sure if they're available in Australia just yet. But or even Conte's, as I'm wearing the Conte top today, I might as well say them as well. Yeah. Sponsor me, please. I'm kidding. Their Supreme Sleep is actually really good too. No other sleep supplement or sleep medication will replace actually good quality, like natural sleep. Okay, like diazepam, like that shit is so addictive, so fucking addictive. Do not start like actual sleep medication because it is a highly addictive. And quite frankly, like your sleep, like I was just saying, is the best PED and fat loss tool around. If you think you can work minimal sleep, you're wrong. You're just wrong. Okay. This whole bullshit of I'll sleep when I die. Like I used to say that, and I cringe at the fact that I used to say that, because I used to be the person, especially like literally like all of my previous preps, I've never been able to get good sleep. I've been working, I've been stressed, I've been like doing a prep through COVID. Like the last time I prepped, I was getting like maybe 4 hours of sleep. Like I kid you not, trying to function on 4 hours of sleep. Spend the time before your prep getting into a consistent rhythm with your sleep routine. Black out your room, lower the temperature at night. If you have the ability to have a lower temperature at night, like have AC in your house, your apartment. If you don't have AC in your house because you live in Europe, or in the UK or Ireland when it's balls hot outside like it was yesterday and the day before, I swear to God, I was nearly dying. Get yourself a fan for your room, so that like a cool fan for your room, or get yourself like cool sheets. You can get like cool technology sheets that like keep you cool throughout the night. Or you can even like get a cool gel mattress topper, things like that. Or even if it's really bad for you, get yourself an air conditioning unit for your bedroom. You can get them on like Argos, you can get them on Amazon, you can get them in Currys, like you can get them anywhere. Like just do yourself due diligence and make sure your sleep is in a good spot.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one thing like I've noticed, especially, is people will complain about their sleep a lot in prep, but the thing is you've got to get it in where you can as well. And like we've had this discussion before with myself, with my hours, like sometimes I can't get the amount of sleep we want in one chunk. So I will sleep in the day. I will black out the house and I will have a nap in the day if that's what's going to work for me and I feel incredible from that. But if I don't have that, I literally can't string a sentence together. So it's like you've got to get over the fact that yes, you might have to sacrifice a little bit of the time you want to be sleeping because of just your commitments with prep and work, but you still need to get the hours in across the day, or else you're just going to feel like ass. And the other point to that is one of my biggest things that I always harp on about is getting your parasympathetic nervous system ready hours before you're even going to bed. Like, for me, I usually go to bed around that 10:30 range. By 8 o'clock, I'm already mentally in the zone of like, yeah, we're winding the fuck down. Like, let's calm it down. Like, the shower's going, the vibes are going, like, it's all going. But if you're still like stimulated, like the thought of being on TikTok, at night, that's actually repulsing to me. That's low-key repulsing. Like, imagine being stimulated by someone else's life while I'm trying to like go through my day in my head and then like clock off to sleep and have sweet dreams. Doesn't work like that, guys. Like, get off your phones. Like, I just hate it. I'm like, stop looking at other people's lives. You've just had like an entire day. Why don't you process your stuff? Even journaling at night is incredible to just get your thoughts out, because that's often the racing head when everyone's gone to sleep. Get it out. And also, what else are you doing at night? Like, you should be a bit hungry if you're in prep. You should be pretty tired. You should be getting into bed as soon as you possibly can. So make it work for you where you can. If you can't get the hours in, shift them around the day if that's what you need to do. But it is a priority more than anything else.
For sure.
More than a lot of things.
Yeah. And even like what Lucy was saying there, this is something that I've changed my mind on recently, is like taking naps throughout the day. Now, I'm not a napper. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I nap, because I can't. I've never napped. Okay, no, I have napped once in my life. Fun story. I napped on a day where I did not think it was one of my exams for third year, I believe, in my university. I was studying. I was like getting ready for this exam. It was a really difficult exam. And I was like, okay, I'm going to just go for a little bit of a nap right now, because I'm really tired. I've been up like super late. Like, my sleep was fucked because I was staying up super late, going to the library, studying, things like that. Took a little bit of a nap, woke up, group messenger chat for my year in university. Hey, where's Katie? I was like, fuck. I sprinted to the exam hall. I was like in tears. I was like, I didn't mean to miss my exam. I'm so sorry. Can I please take it? And I was like half an hour late. And like the exam was like an hour and a half or something. So I had like an hour to do it. And like they gave me like extra time at the end to actually do the rest of the exam. But I finished it like within the hour. And that was the one and only time I have ever taken a nap.
Of course it was, because now it's like a threat to you. You're like, no, this is danger. Fucking red zone.
But getting back to the topic for our podcast, is the nap itself. That's something I've changed my mind on, in terms of like, I used to say like, try not to nap throughout the day, because like it can negatively affect your sleep at night. Actually, research shows that it's not going to be detrimental to your sleep at night. If anything, it can help it. So if you're taking like anywhere from like a 10 to 60-minute long nap throughout the day, that can actually help you. If that helps you like with being more rejuvenated throughout the day and getting like enough sleep, and just getting that non-sleep deep rest, I believe Mr. Andrew Huberman calls it, an NSDR, that we both kind of hate.
In his voice.
Yeah. With his crazy non-blinking eyes as he like stares at that motherfucker never blinks. Oh my God. He's a psychopath. Yeah, but he's so beautiful. It's like he's a little bit dangerous and a psychopath, but that's what makes him attractive.
Seems like my pet.
But yeah, that can help with like, that's like, don't deprive yourself of those naps throughout the day if you need to take them. Now, I'm not saying nap all day, but yeah. So moving on to the next one, we are like almost an hour in, I think. Anyway, this kind of ties in with other things that we've mentioned, and heavily relates to like financial stress and all of the other things, some of the other things about life stressors need to be managed. Okay, so this is kind of more so tying into like your workload. Have you recently lost a job? Do you have a job that you hate? Relationship stress is a big one. Things like that, because like life is always going to throw you curveballs, and just because you're on prep doesn't mean that life is not going to throw you curveballs. I can promise you that. Okay.
You're not protected because you're in prep. You're not protected from shit happening. Yeah.
You're not. You are not. As much as I wanted to be, you're not. Okay. And I've had even like so far this prep, I've had my fair share of like bullshit happen to me. And I'm like, okay, bring it on. Like I can deal with everything thrown at me. Okay, please don't throw please don't throw anything else at me. I'm
I'm not that strong.
I'm not that strong. But If your day-to-day stressors are extremely high, so like your workload, or you're working on a project, or you've recently lost a job, you're in a shitty relationship, you are just heading into the fight on one leg, and you're not going to, like, you're going to be just putting your body under more stress by doing so, as well as the stress that you're putting your body under in prep by dieting, by doing extra cardio, by doing so many steps, that when mental stresses are piling up alongside of this, the candle is burning at both ends. Okay. It's literally just an atomic bomb waiting to happen. So just make sure your life stressors are in a good spot. Make sure that, let's say, the people around you, like your family, your friends, your significant other, your partner, are supportive of you of doing this. And if they're not, just cut them out of your life. Okay. Like, even if it's family, I've done it, just remove them from your life. Okay. Just, they keep asking you about it in a negative way, don't be snarky at them. Just be like, this is what's making me happy. This is what I am wanting to do. And it brings me a lot of joy. I urge you to do something with your life that you enjoy, because you are fucking miserable. Okay, don't say that to them.
But essentially that, yeah, no, 100%. And definitely, like, setting, you're probably in prep, I reckon, gonna have to set pretty clear boundaries and standards with people and expectations, and even your work and all of the things, because what you need of yourself has now really raised and elevated. So you can't you can't expect everyone to come along for the ride and just be okay with it, but you need to really set a clear boundary of, this is how much time and energy and attention I'm giving to all these things. This is how I plan to moderate and manage my stress and my workload and all the things, and go into it prepared. Again, if you're expecting to not be attacked or hurt by anything going on in your life, but just because you're in prep and that's the focus, that's just not going to be the case. So it's knowing that stresses are unavoidable. They're always going to be there. It's your ability to respond to them. And you should be in a very resilient place, because you're doing a lot of hard shit every day, making it happen in prep. So you should be able to respond to things with a lot of resilience, and also just understanding that you're one person, you can't give to everyone. So be very clear with your own energy and your time and how much you're available for, because it's not infinite.
Yeah, for sure. Especially when you're getting into the deeper stages of prep, when your energy is so limited, and that energy needs to be spent on, like, putting the effort into your cardio, putting the effort into your training.
Yep.
You're not going to have a lot of mental energy or capacity left to deal with bullshit going on in your life. You're just not, it's just not going to be available to give a dog's bollocks, to be quite honest. You're just not going to care. And again, that kind of ties into, like, you need to be mentally prepared for this sort of stuff to happen, to make sure that, let's say, that doesn't negatively impact the relationships around you. And again, that you prepare everybody else around you for, like, what is to come in terms of how you will perhaps probably feel. So yeah, for sure. And kind of, we're moving on to the last one, which is very important, and something that I definitely neglected the majority of my preps as well. Maybe not my last prep, but this time it is definitely under control. Shout out Will from R&R Therapy at Ultraflex Rotherham. He's so funny. Oh my God. So what I'm talking about is, make sure your recovery modalities are in place. Okay. So part of a successful prep is staying injury free. No fucking shit. Okay. Obviously, you cannot continue a prep if you were injured. It's just not going to happen. So I did have a bit of a scare before my prep started. I slipped in the snow. Shout out UK weather, and I potentially fractured my wrist. They couldn't really see anything. They couldn't see what they wanted to see on the x-ray. So I was in a splint for like a few weeks, but I was still training. But it really scared me, because I was like, fuck, like, I could have, like, really fucked myself over here. Because if you're like 200 pounds and you slip and you put your arm out in front of you to take the weight of 200 pounds body weight, something's going to happen, unless you're made of literal, like, steel, reinforced steel. So that really scared me. So you need to be making sure that, like, you stay injury free, that you maximize your recovery. So you need to make sure that you're routinely getting deep tissue work, okay, active release therapy, chiropractic adjustments, etc., etc. You need to include this stuff in your budget, okay, in order for you to feel the best throughout prep. You need to have this stuff in place, because if you are not getting routine deep tissue work, your muscles aren't going to be able to fire. And if your fascia gets all, like, super tight and, like, bound up, your muscles on your body aren't going to look as good. You're not going to be able to perform as well in the gym, because your muscles aren't firing properly or they're not moving in the correct way. Therefore, that's going to lead to atrophy. You don't want fucking atrophy when you're in prep. No, you want to keep all of the muscle that you have around for as long as possible. So you need to make sure that you're doing like all of this active release therapy, deep tissue work, chiropractic adjustments if needed, if you are a banged up junkie like me, with one hip sitting lower than the other. You need to include this stuff in your budget. Okay, going back to like making sure that you're financially prepared for this stuff to ensure that you have all of your pieces in a line heading into your prep. Okay, so I know for Lucy, like she gets osteopath work done, she gets massage work done as well. I go to see my chiropractor every 3 or 4 weeks now as well. Mr. Peter Welch, he's like the UK version of a Sheldon Cooper. He's so funny. I love him. He's hilarious.
Fabulous.
Him and his partner Sarah, they're so funny. But yeah, you need to make sure that this stuff is in place, because you will, like, I've gotten injured in a prep because I've not taken care of like my deep tissue work, because I didn't have the money to put it in there. I didn't have that like financial luxury to afford deep tissue work. So yeah.
Yeah, prepare. You got to be aware of all of it. And that's the thing as well with the injury, is like, it's kind of, if you have any like chronic things or anything that you know is going to flare up, like it's actually your job to be aware of that and not to just wait until it goes crazy. Like I don't know if anyone knows here, but I have like a chronic broken foot. Like it's just not fixing, it's a broken foot. And we've been so mindful of like, okay, this is the cardio that feels best on my foot. This is the training that feels best on my foot. I don't do certain things with my work because it's best on my foot. And we're so aware of it. But it's like, if we just gone like balls to the wall and like just done whatever, like, oh my gosh, I'd probably be in a boot again. So it's like, you've got to actually take care of your own body and communicate to your coach before anything actually gets worse, right? As soon as it's there, flag it so it doesn't elevate, and then you're screwed halfway through prep, and that would be very, very sad.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
like Lucy just said, you need to like advocate for yourself. One, you need to be an advocate for yourself. You need to take care of yourself. You need to be like responsible enough to take care of yourself in that regard, and not ignore the stuff that like that might be bothering you, or that might be a potential problem if left untreated. And most definitely bring it up with your coach, but your coach should also be asking you, like, do you have a history of injury? Do you have any like issues with mobility work, or do you have any like things that are not firing correctly, things like that? It's important for your coach to ask you those things, but also to mention them to your coach and make sure that your coach takes those things on board and, let's say, programs your training effectively. Make sure that you're doing the correct type of cardio. Because, for example, with Lucy, for her, I recommended for her to start using the elliptical, because I didn't want her legs to wither away on the Stairmaster, because she's doing 40 minutes of cardio now on the Stairmaster per day, like a boss ass queen. But she's not able to use the elliptical at her gym because it's a rickety old, like super heavy elliptical, and it was really aggravating her foot.
you can hear my foot every rep. You can hear my foot going
concrete mixer.
Like, I remember just crying, being like, "Nah, I can't do this. I'm going on the stairs."
Yeah.
It's what works for your body, because for someone else, the stairs might just absolutely like kill one of their previous injuries. And that's the thing as well, right? Like, we've noticed it can also negatively affect your look if you do have an underlying injury or something there, because your symmetry is all off. Like, we noticed for a while there, I had a completely developed right side and the left side was just like a pathetic vegetable. Just like shriveled. So it's like, it fully noodle. It was fully noodle. So you've got to be very aware of any indication of something going on in your body, because it's so much more than just, oh, that's a bit sore. It's like, no, this could be a long-term thing, and you need to be aware of that.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, those are kind of like all the topics that we kind of had written down to chat about in regards to like preparing for a prep and to have a successful prep. So if you like this episode, well, make sure, like, okay, what I'm trying to say is I need to go take my TikToks and go do my cardio. No. Code. That's code. TikToks are code.
Yes.
No, what I was trying to say there is, if you learned something on this episode, and if you want us to talk more in depth about, let's say, my first prep, or let's say how we've prepared Lucy for this prep, because like obviously myself and Lucy have been working together for over 2 years now. She wanted to be a bikini competitor as soon as she like started working with me. I was like, this is gonna take a while.
This gonna take 25 kilos, girl. But yeah. Cool.
Do take these things into consideration. Okay, don't just ignore them. Don't just like throw a blind eye to any of these, because they all matter. And like there's other things that matter as well, but these are kind of like the things that kind of popped into my head in regards to like having like a very successful prep. And I know that I'm going to have a much more successful prep this year now because of having other, like all of these things in place. Okay, yeah, my life stressors mightn't be as well managed as other people, but they're a hell of a lot better than they used to be. Things like that. But make sure that all of these things you take into consideration before entering your first prep or even your 10th prep. Okay, so that you set yourself up for success, and that it's not going to be an absolute hog or like bitch of a prep. Yes, your prep's going to be difficult in one way or another, like inevitably, but you don't want to be suffering from like 15, 16 weeks out. It should be getting hard at like 8.
Yeah.
Maybe. So,
yeah, 100%. Let us know if you want a part 2 maybe of this episode about our preps, and that could be cool.
Yeah, that like we could do like a whole topic on like talking about like, because we're looking at the time here, like we can't go on that much longer.
Yeah. I know.
For like another hour. But if you want us to do like a part 2 to this episode, we can talk about, let's say, my first prep and how what entailed how I entered my first prep, and how Lucy's prep is going, and how we prepared for her prep 2 years in advance of it starting.
Yeah. That would be very insightful, I think.
I think so too. And like it, especially from like not just like your aspect as the client, but from my aspect as the coach as well. Like what I took into consideration and what I asked you to take into consideration, and what that meant for you in terms of preparing in advance for such an extensive prep.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. What an incredible episode for us.
Yeah, I'm really happy with that.
Yeah. What discussion, really good discussion. It's really interesting to hear from coach's perspective as well. And yeah, it's very, very good. Very good. Loved it.
Thank you.
So thank you all for listening. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
If you've stuck around for 60 minutes, you're an absolute slay.
Oh my God. I'm calling Lucy out here right now.
I did that intentionally.
Occasionally, every single time I messaged her about the podcast this week. Oh my God, slay. Having a fucking brain aneurysm, like you 23-year-old, I swear to God.
I'm 23 now. Yeah, no, it's like my most basic vocab at the moment. I'm just like, if I don't have anything, slay. Yeah, slay, super slay.
It's okay. She's this far into prep now. She's like 6.5 weeks out. Like, 6 weeks now. Oh, 6 weeks out. Yeah. So yeah, she gets to like, she gets to say slay all of the time.
I get to say slay. I have the license for it. Permission has been given from the coach. We good.
Oh man, okay. Just like our next episode is just Lucy like responding to everything that I say. Slay.
Prepare for guys. Maybe we'll call this "How to Slay Your First Prep."
Oh my God, yes, that is the title.
Maybe we will. We are brilliant. Thank you all.
So if you are listening to this on Spotify, I believe you can leave comments now on Spotify. On
wow, I didn't know
that. Or like what you thought of the podcast. Write brain aneurysm or slay, or like put in brain aneurysm slay, or slay brain aneurysm, something like that, so that we know that you stuck around until the end.
Yes, actually, and the nail emoji, please.
The nail emoji, yes, queen.
We would love that. We would love to know if you made it to this section, the Delulu section.
Share it on your stories, download the episode, share with a friend, save it for later. Like I know for me, like any kind of like episode like this in terms of like relating to bodybuilding or like post-show, that's another one that we could do, like do a post-show episode. If you want to do a post-show episode, preparing for post-show, that's another topic that we could do. Fuck yes.
Definitely.
Because I did hear somebody say the other day, like there's no right or wrong way to do post-show. There is most definitely a wrong way to do post-show.
That's a cop-out. Yeah, that's a fucking cop-out.
It's no
Yeah.
to do a post show. Okay, but there's definitely a fucking wrong way to do
Wrong
it.
ways to do it. Yeah. Well, that will be a really good episode for me as well, because I haven't done a post show before. So that would be really cool.
For sure. Anyway, thank you for listening. We're actually going to sign off now instead of like brain aneurysm being the rest of the episode. Like, share, comment, save it, share in your stories, tag us in it. And thank you again for all the love on the first episode. And we will talk to you next time, guys.
Bye.
Bye.